if you touch a woman, it is a first-degree felony. I'm so happy.
So this is what happens when men's natural desire to protect women turns them into simps and sellouts. This guy is thinking men are out here just beating up women left and right. First of all, only 1% of people in the country are criminals. Only 1%. That means 99% of people don't do any harm to anybody. And half the people in prison probably are innocent of something, got railroaded, copping a plea. There's a guy who did a study and collected about 280 samples, surveys, medical records, polls, articles, all this other stuff. He had the bibliography of 283. His name is Fiebert, F-I-E-B-E-R-T. So if you, I have a link to it in my flow page where there's a picture of a woman slapping a dude. Forget his first name. Anyway, Fiebert. He studied all this stuff, and it showed that 50% of domestic violence is committed by women. That's only the reported stuff. And we know countless times men won't report it. They'll tolerate it. You know, I think it was Steve Finley, or is it Michael Finley? Steve Finley, pictured for the California Angels, got his head stomped in while he's driving by his girlfriend, the one who's on the roof in the White Snake video, Here I Go Again, from the 80s. This is only the reported amount. So women probably commit 75% of domestic violence. They commit 60% of physical child abuse. And of course, they commit 90% of emotional and psychological abuse of children. So this guy's out here, oh yeah, it's a felony if a man puts a hand on one. We already got the Violence Against Women Act that gives billions of dollars for women to get restraining orders and have free advocates in court. And all these radical feminist women groups out here helping them. I don't know who this fool is in here, but you know, the average person is ignorant of how much women commit domestic violence because they don't go to family court and know how family court works and how women lie about domestic violence all the time and play victim. There's women out here lying about rape, child abuse, molestation. You know, there was a sheriff in Clark County in Washington State who was falsely accused of molesting his daughter. When she was 16 or so, maybe when she was adult, it seemed like when she was 16, maybe that's when he got out. But I remember the number 16 from the article. He went to prison for like 12, 13 years. She admitted that she lied about her dad because you know, she was mad at him because of some discipline or something like that, or just mad at him. So she ruined his life, and she finally admitted it like 16 years later. Can't remember if her mom coached her into doing it, but she lied about it, and the prosecutor said they would not prosecute her for false reporting because if they did, then women would be afraid to report real incidents. Isn't that insane? We are such fruity little gay simps that we think that we can't prosecute a vicious false allegation because that means the people who are the real victims won't move forward. So if the liars will move forward and they haven't been held accountable, and if the liars start getting in trouble and somebody is not lying, they're actually telling the truth, that they're a real victim, why would they be afraid if they're telling the truth? The person who got in trouble is lying. See, these prosecutors, first of all, they make Violence Against Women Act money, bonus money, Joe Biden's 1994 Violence Against Women Act money. But then, on top of that, that makes no basic, fundamental, common sense logic. We're not going to prosecute bad guys because the good guys are going to be afraid to tattle on the bad guys. What kind of sense does that make? It only makes sense in a world where people have a Jezebel spell cast over them. And this guy has it. I don't know whether he's a full-blown simp or just a guy saying, yeah, we stand up for protecting women. But we already have laws in place to protect women, you stupid jackass. We got domestic violence. We got assault. Women are allowed to get restraining orders against a dude without any due process. All they gotta do is go to court and convince one judge. No jury, no right to an attorney, no trial. Well, it's preponderance evidence to say he committed a crime of domestic violence. I want to take away his kids, the house. I want to restrain him from his freedoms, all this kind of stuff. We don't need any more protections for women. If you're just trying to make sure 100% of women that are victims always get protected, that's never going to happen in an imperfect world. See, this is what happens when we turn into soy, boy, beta, feminine, emotional basket case, illogical, non-masculine men. We start making decisions based upon emotion. Notice the guy in this video, he's emotional. Yeah, let's get all the bad guys and stuff. First of all, 99.9% of men think you're a punk if you abuse a woman. No man would tolerate that kind of bullcrap. No man would believe it's okay to do that. So who is he even talking about? Who's the major victim that's getting screwed over? When men are victims of domestic violence, women never get prosecuted. Almost never. Because the Violence Against Women Act does not give bonus money to prosecutors if a woman is prosecuted for domestic violence. If a man commits domestic violence and they prosecute the man, the Violence Against Women Act allocates federal dollars to go to that prosecutor's office. So let's say the prosecutor spends $5,000 prosecuting a case against a dude. If they get him to cop a plea or conviction at trial in front of a jury, 95% of cases, I swear 99% of domestic violence cases, they cop a plea because most dudes are innocent and they're scared to go to jail, so they just agree, oh, if I just take this anger management class, then it'll go away and fall off. You know what that means? That means that they're full of crap. Because if that guy's really a menace to society and a menace to women, why did we let him just take your class to fix himself? The whole thing's a scam. And this emotional feminine dude who posted this video, and he said Trump said that they should make it a felony. You know, Trump's probably saying something, you know, he's a police, you know, military, you know, civil, you know, order type of president. So he's probably thinking, you know, you're a punk if you hurt women. And the average dude who hasn't been in family court, who hasn't been falsely accused, has no idea how many women out here falsely accuse men of this stuff. What's crazy about the Violence Against Women Act is that the Violence Against Women Act says this act is intended to protect women and children. Women are 60% of the child abusers, or 60% of incidents of child abuse are by women. A man is the safest place for a child because we're protectors. Women aren't. Women use children as a weapon in family court to get money, get child support, get welfare. They're predators. And they will get rid of the biological father and allow a pedophile into the house, a sex offender to the house. In Seattle, we just had this woman, she beat the snot out of her son for a couple of hours, and he had like 1,000 marks, 900 marks on his body or something crazy. And after she got arrested, she said, I need you to let me go so I can go grieve the loss of my son. She said in the paper that, you know, he collapsed and he fell out. She thought he was bullshitting. So she's sitting there running her mouth. She's in such denial. Oh, there goes a whole bunch of ducks right there. She's in such denial that she said, okay, I need to be let out of jail after I murdered him because I need to grieve. It's almost like she's a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, bipolar, typical modern woman. And then she was on some local TV station saying how she would do anything for her kids, and there was a show about mothers and kids or something like that. And then her boyfriend or the stepdad was sitting there watching, standing by. See, the biological father is not there on usually most of these cases. Watch a molestation case or a case where they trapped the kids in a closet and didn't feed them and then tortured them. When they say, and then the husband or the boyfriend, and everybody assumes that's the dad, and usually it's not. If you read carefully, you'll see that it's usually not the dad. Every time I see something like that, I go and look, it's a stepdad or boyfriend. There's a psychologist who said that child abuse goes up 400% if a step-parent is in the home. And usually the mothers have custody in a broken home. So it's their home. Women are not protectors. But see, the Violence Against Women Act wants to spend money to protect women and children, and women are the biggest abusers and most violent. It's all backwards. We don't need any more extra laws on this stuff. Men are already being falsely accused enough, and they're already putting the bad guys